Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Sonic 2 for the Game Gear. In the last part we started off the game, and now we're gonna go finish it off if the title isn't obvious. For some reason, I can't tell if it's due to maybe Sonic being faster or stages being shorter. Sonic 2 is a good third shorter than Sonic 1 on Game Gear. I can't exactly tell why. Actually, you know what? Maybe it's due to the fact there's no special stages. Yeah, those did have maybe a good 10 minutes possibly throughout the entire game, so yeah. Huh. Either way, Green Hills is honestly the easiest level in the game. There's barely anything that can kill you aside from enemies. There's very few spike pits. There's very few instant death opportunities. It's actually a very overall tame stage. In fact, I think that at some point this was going to be the first stage in the game, but maybe due to possibly the boss level being a bit too tough for early game, they changed it. That's at least my theory, and if it probably isn't that at all, they just intended for it to have maybe be a breather stage or something. Although, speaking of incorrect level orders, fun fact, there is actually a level select code for this game. It depends on what it is, depends on whether or not you're playing Master System or Game Gear, though. On the Game Gear, you have to turn the game on while holding down to the left diagonally on the D-pad and all the other buttons pressed until 2 ring noises chime. And on the Master System, you have to hold up to the left on the D-pad and all the Master System buttons until 2 ring noises chime. At which case, you can choose from any of the acts in the game, outright go to the final boss, even if you don't have some extra stuff. I'll get into that later. Either way, Green Hills Act 2 is where the Chaos Emerald is. If you can't tell, for some reason, I actually almost all are in Act 2 this time around. And to get it, you have to stay towards the top once again. Eventually, you'll come across some springs, in which case you're going to need to carefully bounce on top to some others, and then you'll find it pretty easily. Though, as you saw right there, there's actually a good amount of extra lives in Green Hills as well, which is another reason that makes it pretty easy. Heck, I'm already at 9, so that's pretty good. Oh, actually, it might be beyond 9, because I think like Sonic 1 on Game Gear, the in-stage one caps at 9. These are the springs, I believe. Get some speed, bounce off to the right. Bounce off those ones, and hopefully you'll end up here where the Chaos Emerald is. That one could get take some time to get right, but it shouldn't take horribly long, hopefully. And with that, we're done with Act 2. A lot of the Green Hills stages are actually really short, too, which is another thing that makes me think it may have been supposed to be earlier on in development. Earlier on in development. There we go. I thought I was missing a word there. And time for the boss stage, which is the hardest stage. Probably not in the game, but close to it. Why? Due to the game's screen crunch, you can't see the fact that there's spikes everywhere below me. Good lord, that's twice in a row I've almost avoided death. And you need to be constantly going on springs, so the way I recommend going about this is take your time. Don't rush through it, because otherwise you'll land on spikes. Otherwise, though, this stage is still really short and leads to probably one of the easiest bosses in the game, the Pig Sumo Wrestler. The way this guy works is that he can bounce around in several ways, going along the top, going along the bottom, or going straight from edge to edge. Sometimes he'll do 2 in a row. When he's in his ball form, he's invulnerable, and he'll just kill you. But when he's not, he's free to damage. In fact, he stands still for a good while doing that little pose, meaning you can hit him pretty easily. Way to know if he's going to be done rolling around instead of doing 2 in a row, though? Wait for the screen to shake. That's when you know he's going to be free for damage. Overall, this is a very easy boss, though if I recall in the Master System version, the incline here was a bit more extreme. I might be wrong about that, though. And with that, we're done with Green Hills. Admittedly, I do like the shorter stage design of some of the Game Gear games, but at other times I miss some of the longevity. Which is something I'm wondering how Sonic Mania is going to tackle, whether or not the stages are going to be 3 acts and a bit shorter, or 2 acts but longer. Because that game, I know for a fact, is going to be a bit of a tribute to a lot of the older games, so I'm wondering what they're going to do with that. Either way, time for... I missed the name, I think it was Gimmick Mountain? Yeah, that sounds about right. Gimmick Mountain, as its name would suggest, is very gimmicky with its platforms. First off, we have these things which are right out of Scrap Brain Zone from the first Genesis game. The way they work is, when you land on them, you start holding direction, you'll start rolling that direction, and when you're on about a 90-degree angle, you can jump off for some massive speed. And there's also a few more minecarts in this stage, if I recall, as well. But basically, there's a lot of gimmicky platforms you can basically figure out on your own. That was a lot of basicallys. I am sorry about that. It's actually probably my favorite zone in the game, just because it's very fun to look through. There's also a good amount of invincibility boxes if you know where to look. It's also probably one of the few stages where you actually end going left. So that's a bit of a random thing. Though one thing I don't like about this stage we'll be seeing next act is where the Chaos Emerald is. But we'll get into that when we get to it. Ugh. Not a fan of its placement. You do need to get this minecart in order to get to the end, because I think if you have an invincibility box, you won't be able to get through the end. Get to the end through those spikes, because there's so many. Unless you know how to probably do some sort of task trick, in which case, just ignore what I'm saying. I'm not sure if the game still gives you 1-ups for a certain amount of score. I won't be surprised if it did and I just didn't notice, but if it does, I won't, but I don't know. Okay, Gimmick Mountain Act 2 is where the Chaos Emerald is, and it's actually fairly early on. You know, I don't like this wall very much. I'm gonna jump through it. Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to know that's there. I mean, sure, Sonic 1 on the Genesis did something similar in Marble Zone, in fact, in a few other zones besides that. But I don't know how you're supposed to know that's there, because the Chaos Emerald is right over here. So, why would you do that for something you need to get the good ending? That's stupid. If it's maybe a 1-up or invincibility power-up rings, sure, but not something you need to get the best ending. That's stupid. Mind you, there's probably some other games I absolutely love that do something similar, so I guess we can't all be winners. Gimmick Mountain Act 2 is really more the same from Act 1, even though I think the level is actually a bit more interesting due to the fact that it goes a lot more topsy-turvy. Also, I hate those bombs. Those bombs are mostly in this, though I think they were also in Sonic 1 on Game Gear and even another stage later on in this. And their projectiles are very hard to avoid for some reason. Maybe it's their strange arc, or maybe it's the fact that the enemy itself can also still hit you even before it explodes all the way. Which is stupid, but, well. Also, actually, I just realized another thing that's missing from the Game Gear version of 1 is checkpoints. If I recall, unless there's an invisible checkpoint you hit somewhere in the level, if you die towards the end of a stage, you have to start over. Which, mind you, the stages are short enough to the point where it doesn't really warrant it, but there are 1 or 2 stages that if you die towards the end, it's gonna be kind of annoying. Particularly towards Endgame. Well, we're at Endgame technically already in terms of parts, but you know what I mean. Gimmick Mountain Act 3 is another pretty short stage, but it can actually be very tricky. The main gimmick with this area is that beyond these conveyor belts is another one of those little blue bendy straw platforms we've seen a couple times throughout here. And we're going to be navigating these around a lot of spikes, so you need to be careful about where you're going. Like, I'm going to be ducking under a pair of spikes right here, even though you don't need to duck under this one if I recall. And you're just going to need to keep an eye on your surroundings to make sure the thing doesn't drag you into anything. I could have been able to use a lot more of a descriptive word than thing, but English is not my best subject. That's... Actually, I don't know what my best subject is. I'm pretty well-rounded, but I don't know. Either way, boss of this stage is actually kind of annoying. This Warthog. The way it works is that I'll charge from left to right in that exact pattern. When it hits the wall, it'll hurt itself unconsciously so you can actually get past the spikes and damage it. However, it'll also cause 3 little pebbles to fall down in that exact pattern. I think the rocks try to track on to where you were the moment you hit the wall, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Yeah, it looks like it's more about where they would be when the time you spawn. I don't know. Either way, if you don't keep your eyes open to what's around you, it's very easy to die here. Thankfully, a lot of the bosses in this game don't take too many hits. Though there are some bosses you can die even after destroying, so watch out for that. Either way, that's Gimmick Mountain. Pretty fun level, actually. But we're moving on to another one. And I forget which one it is for some reason, because I am dumb. Scrambled Egg, that's right. Scrambled Egg is probably my least favorite level zone in the game. And if you don't have all the 5 Chaos Emeralds we found at this point, it's also the last. I'll get into why later. Either way, those little tubes I mentioned either earlier this part or last are back, and you're really going to need to keep in mind the maps, or either look up a map or go through some extreme trial and error here, because sometimes the curves are really quick, and if you're not careful, you will easily miss them and be either thrown into a pit of spikes, or you'll just have to start over from another tube. Though I have to admit, I love the song here. If I recall, it also plays during the prologue, because I think the prologue played a different song in the Master System version. But I love this song. The second half is so good. These are also fairly vertical stages, aside from Act 2, so, yeah. If there's anything I like about this stage, though, is that it constantly keeps you on your toes, because if you're not paying attention, you're either going to end up getting hit, going in the wrong direction, or probably missing a platform and having to go through another bit of a stage again. However, this leads to some dickishness, either in terms of placement or in terms of one particular area in the next stage, and I'm not a fan. It is the hardest level in the game for a good reason because, like I said before, this is the last zone if you don't have all 5 Chaos Emeralds. But they could have been a bit smoother with the difficulty curve. And like there, I just missed the thing, so I have to restart over from this tube. I think you have to hold down, right, down, and left. Then, yeah, it's pretty fast. I can't even tell. All I know is it'll take some trial and error. Especially in Act 2, because they get ridiculous in Act 2. If I recall, yeah, actually, I just remembered. The little prologue thing I was mentioning earlier, I think the title screen music played in the prologue. Act 2 is my least favorite act in the game. Why? If you mess up a certain platforming section later on, you're thrown into this game's version of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Mystic Cave, or not Mystic Cave, whatever the name of that cave level was, pit. It is a spike pit you cannot escape from. You just have to sit there and accept death. And I hate that. That is dickish game design. Mind you, Sonic 1 on the Game Gear had its fair share of that too in terms of the Chaos Emeralds. But this is just stupid. Hold right, left, down, and then up. Because up allows you to skip a good section of the stage and even get some extra lives. Whee! This is actually a weird extra life box, because it actually respawns if you go left. You can do that twice, but for some reason, no other life box in the game that I'm aware of does that, and I don't know why that's there. It's weird. It's weird. And we're coming up on the section I really hate. Well, actually, no, technically speaking, the section I hate was that tube right here, but you have to be really fast on your toes here, otherwise you're going to fall into that spike pit. Also another dickish thing. Hold down, jump back up in that tube, hold down and hold left when you're going there so you can land back on the platform we just activated. That is really specific in timing, and I don't like it. I don't like Scrambled Egg. I don't like it much at all. It can go die in several hellfires. Thankfully, though, that is the worst level of the game out of the way. And Act 3 is actually really simple. Though it has a setup I actually really like. It's a vertical level like Jungle Zone Act 2 was in Sonic 1 in the Game Gear. However, there's 2 paths you can take past this first pipe. If you go to the right, you have to do an actual platforming section. If you go left, though, you can end up on some springs that end up springing you past most of it. So if you're quick on your feet, you can actually have a really easy time in this level. And plus, the boss is so pathetically easy. By the way, hold right there, otherwise you fall in a spike pit. The boss is so pathetically easy that if you die to it, well, you're probably either not jumping or you just weren't paying attention. Because that's happened to me. Also, I hate that jump that's fairly quick. Either way, the boss at this stage is actually a bit of a familiar one. It's Silver Sonic, or Mecha Sonic as he's called in something. And the way this boss works is that he's constantly jumping around, and you have to bounce off him with your jump so you can actually have him uncurl and available for damage. However, the thing is, as long as you're jumping, you can't take damage from this guy. So, he's really pathetic for what is, for the bad ending at least, the final boss. Yeah, if you didn't get all 5 Chaos Emeralds at this point, this is the final boss, and it's kind of underwhelming, actually. Once you get him well, actually, no, there is actually a way Silver Sonic can kill you. That attack right there. However, he only does that when he's on his last 1 or 2 hits. But yeah, he's really easy. And he drops the 6th Chaos Emerald, which is why if you didn't get all 5, this is the final boss. And you would actually trigger the bad ending, which is basically Sonic running alone on the credits. And at the end, he looks up at the sky, seeing a Tails ghost in the stars, implying that Tails is dead, which is really dark. But since we got all 6 Chaos Emeralds, we're sent to the final zone in the game, Crystal Egg, and I love the look of this place, albeit it does not look like a final area. Mind you, that was a bit of a problem I had with Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2 Genesis, as well as that Metropolis does not look much like a final base area like this doesn't. But this at least reminds me a bit of Final Fantasy, so I'll let that slide. Crystal Egg, though, is really easy. There's barely any enemies, there's enough spike pits to the point, rings to the point where the spike pits don't cause much trouble. And the level design's just really simple. Maybe it was meant to be a, hey, you got this far, congrats, sort of thing. I don't know. But I'm not complaining. It also could be a calm before the storm, though, because the final boss sucks. Though thinking back, is this the first game in the series that gives you an exclusive final level for getting all the Chaos Emeralds? I think it is. Because all it did in Sonic 1 and 2 was give you an extra ending. Sonic 3 was the first one to give you a Supersonic exclusive level, so I guess this is technically the first game where getting the Chaos Emeralds actually gives you a bit more to the ending on the playable side. Huh. Cool. Also, there's a lot of extra lives in Crystal Egg if you know where to look. This stage is pretty weird because it's mostly just trying to figure out where to go. There's a lot of destructible blocks areas, and if you're not careful, you can easily get sent backwards. These things are basically the silver gear things from Gimmick Mountain, by the way. Though they're a lot smaller, so they're a lot trickier to hit. I don't like this little section here, actually. But Crystal Egg 2 is honestly still really simple. The music's also really calming. If I recall, there was an orchestral remix of this I found online, or at least on YouTube, and it was really soothing. Although I hate that thing right there. If you rush, you're likely to get hit by it. I don't like that spike ball much at all. No siree, no I don't. Though I guess they tried to be a little tricky there with the spikes, but you should have a ring at this point. There's rings in this stage, so you shouldn't really die here. Though I do like with this little jump they try to make you do here. The way it works is that Sonic actually jumps a bit higher off an incline. So if you can use that appropriately, you can actually get some good distance with that jump. I like it when they use the physics, well. Which is something that Sonic 06 tried to do, and failed. You can stand upside down on the loop-de-loops, after all. Though admittedly, that is pretty fun. I'm someone who actually likes Sonic 06 for all the wrong reasons, because it's just it's that kind of bad that's just interesting to see happen. You know what I mean? Kind of like how Superman 64 is to some people. It's unplayably bad, but it's something that you just have to witness to believe. Shadow the Hedgehog, though, is a game I never want to touch again, because that one I outright cannot stand at all. Either way, we're on to the final level of the game, which is the final boss all to itself, and I hate this stage. I might hate Scrambled Egg Act 2, but this is a close second because it's all the final boss. And the way it works is that the final boss is this little electric chamber Eggman has here. He can do a few different attacks. This little weird ring cut thing, that little lightning attack which you see charge up for a bit, then actually happens, and then a laser attack which goes along the floor. He takes more hits than usual. I think he takes about 10 hits to take down, and if you're careful, you actually get 2 hits in at a time by going up that little tube. I do recommend using the bottom left tube instead of the top middle, or just the top rather, because it is a lot easier to hit him, because you can abuse the spouting out thing. But this boss is really stupid just because of the amount of things, if you just time yourself wrong by like a second, can be killed and have to redo it all over. I don't like this final boss. It's more climactic than the one in Sonic, not Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic 1 on the Game Gear though, I'll give it that. But yeah, that's about it actually. If I recall, in the Master System version, you can actually see the full tube, but on the Game Gear, due to the smaller resolution, you're stuck with this view. Which admittedly, seeing the screen scroll up and down and up and down is kind of annoying after a while, but at least the boss fight's still kind of short. I really do dig this boss theme, though. Like I said earlier, I think the Game Gear version added this, and I like it. I actually like it a lot. It's the right kind of theme for a boss like Eggman. It's kind of silly, but kind of threatening sounding at the same time. The one thing I don't like about this boss is that it's very possible to almost die by killing him. Because I got really close to it. I think even if he has one of his projectiles out, it'll still be there, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Either way, go through the tube behind him, and that's game. Are you teleporting away again? Oh my god, I hate you. Why are you giving me tails? That's blackmail material there, dude. Or ransom material, rather. Okay, I guess I'll take it. Even Sonic doesn't know why. And that's Sonic 2 on the Game Gear. I don't like that final boss. And since we rescued Tails by getting all 6 Chaos Emeralds, we get the real ending, which is basically the bad ending, only Tails is with us. Also, if I recall, the music is a bit different in Master System. There's 2 ending themes, a sad one and a good one for the obvious matching endings. However, if I recall, even in the Master System version, the sad one played during this good ending, so I don't know why. Either way, that's Sonic 2 in the Game Gear. It's good, don't get me wrong, but the level design can be a bit dickish at times if you're not familiar with it, and the bosses, while they start off hard and get easy, can still be annoying. If anything, it's a game I maybe play once every few years and don't touch for a while, because while it is still fun, it can be really angering if you're not familiar with it. If I were to recommend it, I'd recommend the Sega Master System version over the Game Gear, purely because of the increased screen resolution, so you can have so you don't get blindsided as often. If you want to play it, it is on the Game Gear, the Master System, obviously, Sonic Adventure DX through the unlockables, and if I recall, it's also on Virtual Console for 3DS and Wii, and I'd probably still make a Collection Plus. Now PS2 and Xbox if I had to take a guess. Next up in the Game Gear-a-thon, though, is one that I like much better than this. We're heading on over to Sonic Chaos, actually, which is my favorite one in the Game Gear Sonic games. For some reason, I just know it is. I forget why. It's been a good 2 years since I last played it, so I'm sure I'll be reminded. So look forward to that. And beyond that, we got some more Sonic games, a few spin-off Sonic games, and then I'll see what else I can do in the Game Gear-a-thon, because I do want to do more than just the Sonic games, but there's not much else on the Game Gear that is like, go out of your way to play good. Mind you, that could be because the Game Gear in of itself didn't do too well, because first off, that 3-hour battery life is pathetic, and the Nomad did the same thing a few years later. It didn't get much support from Sega, all things considered, and a lot of the games were just ports. But that's not entirely its fault. Mind you, the Nomad also had its share of issues too, if I recall, like the lack of a reset button made that one X-Men game impossible to beat, which is stupid. But Sega didn't make the best decisions in their later console-making life cycles, so I can't exactly say it's unexpected. And here's the good ending. We just get a Sonic thing along with the Tails thing. That's the exact same Tails spirit sprite, I guess, that they would use in the bad ending too, so it's just because we saved them that it's good. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Also, really random thing. After the end screen, the game over screen plays for some strange reason. I don't get that. That's a really depressing way to end the game for some reason. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in Sonic Chaos. See you guys then.